he's such a positive role model for people to live their true selves and accomplish their dreams.
Not only that, he's on the show to sing the ABCs and count 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
It's not like A, be gay, B, be gay, C, be gay.
Republican Arkansas State Senator Jason Rappert said, and I quote, "Taxpayer funds should not be used to try and manipulate young children with a political agenda and worldwide view of the LGBTQ activism." After actor Bill Porter took a picture on set while wearing his tuxedo dress he wore to the 2019 Academy Awards while celebrating he would host Sesame Street. So let's fill in the blanks. Where do we start? Library is open because we're going to read.
Where do we start is where Billy Porter ended it. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch.
That's true. And also, what in the world are these religious right people thinking? We all know Jesus wore a dress. He was in a dress 24/7, as were his 12 disciples, all men, all chiseled. They were eating just like grapes and stuff.
Thank you.
All around him.
Thank you.
That is.
And do you not watch superhero movies? What do you think these people are wearing, running around in tights? What could have been more LGBTQ than Batman and Robin in the series in the 70s with their like little leotards,
Yes.
you know, and masks and whips? Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So you're going to worry about Bert and Ernie?
Who do they think made gay people gay? Straight people.
Thank you.
Like we're raised by straight people. We're raised in straight culture.
You know what I'm more concerned about? My tax dollars going to some clown complaining about this situation on public when he should be in his office really trying to figure out how he's going to work things out and make my life easier.
Exactly.
Listen, I wish I could have seen a Billy Porter growing up on Sesame Street
Oh my God.
in that
Jesus.
fabulous gown.
How great to be exposed to people from all different walks of life to create sort of whole human beings that are, I don't know, healthy.
And not only that, this man, he can walk on water. The man's one award away from being an EGOT. There's nothing he can't do. He sings, he dances, he hosts. It's like he's such a positive role model for people to live their true selves and accomplish their dreams.
Not only that, he's on the show to sing the ABCs and count 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
It's not like A, be gay, B, be gay, C, be gay. Like he's not doing that. Is it?
We're on a roll
In which case,
today.
I want to watch it.
Right.
Which is even
That's the
better.
version I want to watch.
I just don't understand. It's just, it baffles me how in a Muppet show they would be complaining about it.
Right.
It's like they're not going to turn gay by watching Sesame Street.
But that's the whole thing, is that having a faith, too, that is that fragile, that if your child saw something gender nonconforming, that they would question, you know, whether their God is right or real or different. Your faith is not that fragile. It should be able to stand up to things like a man in a suit dress.
Right, especially in a world of fantasy. These are Muppets. They don't have gender.
No, but you know, they were doing this back with the Teletubbies. I don't know if you guys remember that. I mean, it just basically they just pick a new moving target throughout the decades. And I mean, that they were saying the Teletubby had a upside down triangle.
Right.
Jerry Falwell said that on its head, and that's what made us all the little kids gay. And
well, they weren't saying like the Garbage Pail Kids, the cards that were Satanist or something like that, and that the devil was behind them. I know my dad in like one of his like crazy moments grabbed all my Garbage Pail Kids and like threw them in the trash can because Satan was coming. They also said that about the Smurfs. So it's like, people, please get alive. And then you see, like, I look at my toys when I was a kid, like He-Man and stuff like that, and it was like this man with like this amazing muscles and torso, like in this little like tanga.
Listen, I wish I had the time to be this worried.
Yes.
I wish I had.
Yes, it must be really nice to have those positions.
I mean, my question to the religious right has always been, if you see Satan in everything, how can you see God in anything? And I just give yourself time. Just
Okay,
be offended and move it.
Mic drop.
Move it on. Mike.
Don't drop that, because I'm not picking it up.
No, you're absolutely right. You're so busy looking for the evil on anything and everything.
And it's not. Get to know the people that you're so scared of. You know, get to know the people that you have questions about. And as you both know, my dad is a Southern Baptist minister, retired. And so I dealt with this my whole life in terms of, I was in church, you know, 5 days a week almost at private schools, and I was forced to learn the books of the Bible as like, you know, in terms of like learning memory tests. Even my eye exam, I remember reading different sizes of Bible scripture to test my eyes. Wow. And so I was as deep as you get into this culture of the religious right, and they made me as gay as you get. And so I can say that from experience, that it's not about faith. It's not about who you expose your child to. The child's going to be gay if it's going to be gay. The question is, are you going to be a jerk about it or not? But we could talk about this all day. All day. Thanks for the platform, LATV.
Yes, and not only that, but it's like Sesame Street. Like I'm glad they've not barged for it, and they've kept on pushing the envelope because they have one of the Muppets has a disability. Then there was a non-denominational Muppet.
Right.
So they keep on trying to push the envelope.
And you know, Big Bird was like, does that come in my size?
Hello. Bert and
Oh my
Ernie
God.
live in an apartment. They've been together for 700 years. I mean, come on. What are we trying to play?
Oh, man. Okay. On that note, we do have to take a quick break. And we will be right back. We'll be back with Diego Sepulveda, who joins us to talk about something I'm so excited about, the Democratic primaries and the Elizabeth Warren campaign. Deputy Organizing Director for the California for Warren campaign, Diego Sepulveda, comes to us to talk about a decade of his advocacy work for immigration rights, LGBTQ justice, environmental justice, and access to higher education. We want to welcome him to the table and to the Q agenda. Welcome, Diego.
Welcome, Diego.
Yes,
My
thank you
pleasure
so
to be
much for
here.
coming. Oh my gosh, tell us what got you started in your activism.
Amazing. Well, I came to the United States when I was 4. I grew up in the United States as an immigrant, being LGBT, and early on I knew what it meant to fight for justice, to have opportunity in this country. So for me, really what led me to Elizabeth Warren's presidential campaign was the idea that I was able to make it. I was the first in my family to graduate from college when no one thought that I would, because really we didn't have anything in place to support undocumented students. I had this idea and I had this dream that I could. Became the first in my family to graduate from college. Now my sister is a 4th year at UCLA. My brother is finishing his bachelor's degree at Cal State Los Angeles. So I realized from a very early age that if it was up to me to be the change agent, and that I could really not only change my life, but that of my family and my community.
Wow, and you felt politics was a really great way to sort of do that, to pursue that.
I joined Elizabeth Warren's presidential campaign because I believe in her message for America, that we must achieve big structural change in order to restore America's promise to everyone here in the United States.
Yeah, did you start with Elizabeth's campaign, or did you start doing and someone else's? Like, what's your political trajectory? Have you worked
Yeah.
on several campaigns, or?
I grew up, in Huntington Park in Southeast Los Angeles, where we face a myriad of issues, one of them being environmental justice. So I worked for an environmental justice organization really to bring to light that communities of color are disproportionately impacted by industrial pollution. I grew up undocumented, so fighting for immigrant rights. I did that at UCLA, and that's where I did it at the intersection of also being LGBT and making sure to be able to create that narrative to say Latinos are immigrants, are LGBT, and we care about worker rights, we care about immigration, we care about healthcare access. Every issue is a Latino issue, and every issue is an LGBTQ issue, and let's frame and have that conversation in that way. And in this current moment in time, I joined Elizabeth Warren's presidential campaign because I realized that she is the one crafting that vision for America. And to be able to say, you are Latino, and you are LGBT, and you are an immigrant, no matter where you come from, who you love, I see you. I have a vision for America, and I have a plan of how to bring justice and opportunity to your community along with you.
Well, and you speak about environmental issues, and that's a huge button, obviously. But I feel, me personally, I get confused on, there's so many issues out there, particularly with us being part of the LGBTQ community. It's like, how do we know what to tackle first? There's so many things.
Yeah.
Every turn you make, it's like there's an issue here, there's another, I want to help here, I want to help there. How do we even put this in order? And how is Elizabeth helping us on this path to find prioritize them?
Yeah, my work on the campaign is really to build an intersectional, multiracial, and intergenerational movement where we say every issue is a Latino issue, right? Every issue is an LGBTQ issue. We say LGBT rights, our immigrant rights, our worker rights, our environmental justice. I grew up in Huntington Park as an immigrant, LGBT, being impacted by environmental justice. Growing up, I couldn't access the doctor because I didn't have legal status, and I didn't have access to healthcare. When I went to school, I was scared to come out of being LGBT. When I went to college, I couldn't access resources because I was undocumented. So it's all of these issues, they intersect. We do not live single issue lives. So all of these issues growing up, how can I grow up in Huntington Park in Southeast LA, be LGBT, but then also breathe clean air, have healthcare access, have the opportunity to be able to receive an education. And for me, the one framing those issues through an intersectional lens is Elizabeth Warren. She is saying, I see you, and I have a plan to be able to make sure that we can bring justice and opportunity to your country. Her plans center communities of color, center Latinos, and to be able to have a president that is bold and unapologetic and saying this fight is the fight of our lives, and it's going to require all of us. No matter who you love and where you come from, you have a voice in our democracy, and I will fight for you.
We'll take a quick break and be right back.
And we're back with Diego Sepulveda from the California for Warren. On the vein of what Juliana was saying, I found it also super interesting that she did take the time to mention the names of the victims. But particularly after mentioning the name of the victims, what is the plan in regards to the trans community?
Elizabeth Warren, you can go to elizabethwarren.com/plans, right? We know that LGBTQ people, that trans people of color experience issues across the board, from getting quality health care to ensuring that there's access to housing. We know that there are a lot of issues. Every single step of the way, Elizabeth Warren has plans for the LGBTQ community to be able to say, you should be able to receive gender-affirming, culturally competent health care. You should have access to housing. So affordable housing is a conversation in the Latino LGBT community. Young people are impacted by family rejection and family acceptance. So part of her plan is saying we can create safe homes, we can create safe schools and safe communities so that our LGBTQ young people and our LGBT community members have opportunity, have justice, and are treated in an equitable way. And that looks like making tangible investments across the board in worker rights, in housing, in education,
medication,
in healthcare access. Every issue is an LGBTQ issue, and to put a stamp on the trans lived experience, there are such high levels of trans people and trans people of color experiencing homelessness and discrimination. And in every single step in her plan, she says, I want to address housing and I want to address discrimination at the federal level to ensure that LGBT trans people and trans people of color are protected and are empowered and have dignity every single day.
You're so well spoken. It's just refreshing to have you here. You should be running yourself one day, so please keep that in mind. What I see happening right now in the race is, God, because I really wanted Elizabeth, and I do want Elizabeth because everything you said, is I wish that the left could have coalesced sooner. The moment that Bernie Sanders had his heart attack, I know you're not going to say anything bad about Bernie Sanders because Elizabeth Warren is actually a great candidate and does not encourage the infighting. Yeah. But if at that moment when he had his health issues, had a heart attack, if instead he had passed the baton to Warren and sort of coalesced all of the left together, I think we would be looking at a totally different race right now in terms of the progressive vote versus the moderate vote. All that to say, I'm so frustrated for Elizabeth, but what else? What else can we talk about? We can talk about a lot.
No, I love it. And how big is the Latino camp supporting her and behind her? I mean, right now doing the work, with her.
Yeah, it was incredible. A couple of weeks ago, we actually released a national endorsement of over 100 Latinos, Latinas, Latinx individuals that are supporting the campaign. She released an entire plan, a working agenda that is called Restoring America's Promise to Latinos. She is very intentional about Latino engagement. Latino leaders are supporting her. And I think to your point earlier, right, this conversation right now is about organizing. Every single day that I wake up, my mom just became a permanent resident. My dad dad is undocumented, my brother's documented, my sister's a citizen. I am part of a mix that is household. So every single day that I wake up, I think of the reality that our community, that my family is going through. And I think, what can I do today to be able to make my life better, the life of my family and that of my community? And that is to organize. And on this campaign, that's what we say. All we got to do as we march on our path to victory is organize. Talk to the communities that oftentimes don't get talked to. Immigrant communities like myself, right? That are part of this country and want to be part of our democracy and have a voice in it. She's doing that. And I am on this campaign, representing immigrant, Latino, LGBTQ people, and I'm proud to bring those folks along on the campaign.
We want to thank Diego so much for stopping by. To learn more, visit www.mobilize.us/California for Warren. You could probably just Google California for Warren too. Might be shorter. We'll be right back with singer-songwriter Tom Goss. You don't want to miss it.
To some, the shock of walking in on his husband with somebody else, choosing to stay married but in an open relationship, and falling in love with another man would be a reason to check into a mental facility. But our next guest took the highest of roads and created an album. Please welcome Tom Goss.
Welcome, Tom.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thanks for having me.
That's cool.
I've never had an introduction quite like that.
Welcome to the Q Agenda. But all that to say, congratulations,
Thank you.
because your single Quebec released on Billboard today.
Yes, yes. I'm super excited about it. It's been a culmination of, I made 10 music videos last year, and in addition to the record. And so it's kind of this year is starting to see the culmination of all that work come together and all this stuff release. And Quebec is the second in a series of 3 videos that tell a larger story that I made with director Nathaniel Sari of going to Berlin, falling in love, coming home, going to Quebec with my husband, and seeing the impact of falling in love, and then figuring out how to work through that and continue our love together.
To be clear,
for
falling
eternity.
in love with someone who wasn't your husband.
Who wasn't my husband?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Tell us a little bit about that part of your bio, though. I think that's where all the meat of this comes from.
It's interesting. I almost want to argue with you, strangely. Like I have this, because it's like, it is also falling in love with your husband as well, right?
Yeah.
It's like, love is a choice. Love is always a choice. And for me, when my relationship opened up, that was very scary for me. And I didn't know what to do, but I knew I wanted to be supportive of my husband on his journey.
Okay, well, take us back, because the
Sure.
audience is coming in sort of halfway through the story. So
Yeah.
take us back to actually what happened, how you decided to open up and then thus opening a relationship. The beginning.
So I realized that there was, so I walked in on my husband and I realized that there was infidelity in my marriage, and it was really traumatic for me. And we had been together for a decade at the time, and you kind of, your eyes are open to a world that you didn't know was happening. I mean, we're in a relationship and we think that we know everything that's happening with the other person, but it's not really the case. We're all kind of living in our own worlds. And he was struggling with kind of like his ideas of his kind of I guess I would say the mortality of his sexual attractiveness. He was worried he was going to be less sexually attractive as he got older, and he wanted to do some things before that came to fruition. And it was difficult for me, but I will never doubt the magnitude of the love my husband has for me. And so as hard as that was, I said, okay, I trust you and I love you, let's see where this goes. And for me, I discovered that physicality and emotionality aren't separate things for me. It's really impossible for me to be physical with somebody without having a really strong emotional connection. Mm-hmm. And so I met somebody, and they were really fun, and we had a great connection, and that was really nice. And then I met him again like 6 months later. We both travel a lot. So I met him in D.C., and then I met him in Toronto, and he had said to me, because we obviously had a strong connection, he said, if you ever want to come to Europe, he lives in Europe, just let me know. We'll spend a weekend together. It'll be fun. And so I thought to myself, if this open experiment is what we call it, is about collecting and harnessing new experiences and learning from those new experiences, then this is something that I would like to try to do.
Now, do we get to live all of this in your new music video with Daniel Francesi?
Well, the one that I'm about to tell you is the Berlin, which is the first installation of 3 music videos that all tied together.
Okay.
So I went to Berlin for the weekend. When I was leaving Berlin, the other guy said, "I love you," and I said, "I love you too," and I knew it was true, and I thought, what am I gonna do now, right?
up, wait a
Like my
minute.
whole world was turned on its head. I came home, I told my husband that I fell in love with somebody else, and then we were kind of like living our lives and trying to understand each other, and we went on a trip to Quebec City. We were walking down the street, and we were having like a nice date night, and then he stopped and he just started crying, like, you know, like the sad, like heavy, hard crying. And he looked at me and he said, "We are not us. There is another us to us. We are not special. We are no longer special." And it is still, to this day, the saddest thing I've ever heard in my life. So I immediately ran into the.
I thought about my husband. I started like, gee.
I immediately ran into the other room, wrote the quote down word for word, and it is the chorus of Quebec, word for word, exactly what he said.
Wow.
And so Quebec is that experience, and then that turning our world upside down once again, and trying to figure out how to navigate that really deep sadness and find the love in that.
Can you tell us how it ends? Like you're still married, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's just checking.
Oh, no.
But on a different note, so we're expecting you at DragCon. You're going to
Yeah,
be performing.
exactly, yeah. Maybe I'll do it in drag. I never even thought about that.
Can you imagine? That would be
Sashay.
amazing.
That would be so fun. I did drag once for a music video called Click in 2016, but it was so, and I did it for like 10 minutes. I like got my shots, and then I had to go do another shot as a boy, and I was like, oh, I look cute. You know?
That's awesome. Well, I mean, there's so much more to talk about with you. We would love to have you back again.
Thank you.
You previously were here at LATV, so
Yes.
it's great to have you back.
Thank you.
The best for DragCon.
Thank you.
Hopefully, I hope we get to see you. I want to go. Are you guys going to go to DragCon? I want to check it out.
No, but I will listen to your album.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
great.
where can we listen
But
to it?
unfortunately, that is all the time we've got for today. But we want to thank Tom for joining us. For more on him, go to @TomGossMusic, and don't forget to visit us at latv.com. We will see you next time.
Bye.